Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, Magnetic Reversal News, Sacred Geography, and Shinrin Yoku, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Monday, June 19th, around 8:15 p.m. Mountain Time 2023. The USGS records two large earthquakes near Trinidad Monday, the two largest quakes in the shortest amount of time in decades. And this is after an ongoing seismic swarm is occurring in this region. But the big story, one killed and almost 24 injured in overnight storms in Mississippi. Keep calm. It's boom time. Holy macaroni, at least one person was killed and nearly 24 injured in severe weather that swept Sunday night through Jasper County, Mississippi, emergency management officials said, as more than 50 million across the southeast on Monday faced the threat of more severe weather, possibly including tornadoes in some places. Here's the power outage. Currently, just refreshed, about 350,000 without power in the southeast. The most in Oklahoma, with 170,000 without power. Tropical storm Brett forms in the Atlantic. Tropical storm Brett formed Monday, becoming the second named storm of the 2023 Atlantic hurricane season. Brett formed nearly 1,300 miles east of the southern Windward Islands and is moving west at 21 miles per hour towards the Caribbean Sea. There is the current location, advisory number 2, maximum sustained winds at 40 miles per hour with minimum central pressure at 1,008 millibars. Let's take a look at the current track for Brett. Let's take a look at where we can see. Let's take a look at the key message. Brett is forecast to strengthen and move across the Lesser Antilles as a hurricane on Thursday and Friday, bringing a risk of flooding from heavy rainfall, hurricane-force winds, and dangerous storm surge and waves. It looks like Brett may move south and break up, but there is another tropical disturbance right behind Brett that may be even more significant. Let's take a look what that is. Disturbance number 1 has a 50% chance of cyclone formation, and according to the models, it's looking to be more significant. Let's take a look. There's Brett, there's number 1, and let's just run it through here for you. Actually, we'll just jump it up to Wednesday. Here is early Wednesday morning, and we will start the forecast there. What you're going to see is number 1 is going to start to form better circulation by Wednesday evening. In fact, a tight hurricane pattern. Whereas Tropical Storm Brett is going to reach the Lesser Antilles here and be sheared by those islands, potentially break apart as it moves south of the Dominican Republic and San Juan. And you can see this storm is tightening up in the pattern. Now, the good news is this model is way out, and it's showing it curve up here around by Bermuda, perhaps striking Bermuda, but not hitting the U.S. And Brett is breaking up here and not hitting the U.S. either. Let's come over to the GFS model and see what they are predicting. In fact, it is days out for this type of hurricane to come anywhere close. You can see a tropical disturbance here moving up from Cuba, just east of Cuba here at about 997 millibars, shear off into another tropical disturbance and hit Maine as a potential tropical storm or Cat 1 hurricane. And that is Friday, June 30th. So that's quite a bit out, 11 days out, and maybe just about 5 or 6 days out before we have a much better forecast on what's going with these tropical systems. Here is the full forecast: dangerous heat and heavy rain and flooding, and Brett. A few weather stories to follow this week across the U.S. and the tropics. A dangerous and sweltering heat wave will persist across Texas, the nexus of the Schmexis, and parts of the southern U.S. Shut up, Al! He's making fun of me. While organized thunderstorms and heavy rain may lead to flooding in the southeast. What a beast. I don't know what I just did there. Sorry about that. Finally, Tropical Storm Brett has formed over the central tropical Atlantic and may strengthen before reaching the Lesser Antilles later this week. So keep a close eye on Oppenheimer Ranch Project for any updates needed. Now onward and upward to the seismic report. USGS records 2 earthquakes near Trinidad Monday. The USGS recorded 2 earthquakes near Trinidad June 19th, according to the USGS. The earthquakes happened just north of Trinidad in the towns of El Moro and Hoheng. The first quake at 8:13 a.m. on Monday morning was a magnitude 3.8 in El Moro. And the second at 8:18, just 5 minutes later, was recorded at 4.3 magnitude in Hone. Now this is coming
this morning.
Quiet. This is coming after southern Colorado in the same region had 6 earthquakes in 24 hours. And this was back in March of this year. 2 of the earthquakes ranked in the 20 strongest on record for the state. The U.S. Geological Survey recorded a 4.3 as the 20th strongest in the state, and we just saw another one of those. What
6
is
quakes
going
were measured
on? There is definitely a seismic swarm going on in this area because this seismic swarm happening in March was in the same region. That's pretty fantastic. So we're going to keep a close eye here on Colorado and just see what is going on in our state. Seismic update. No other quakes of note. We did have a 5.2 in Mexico that we talked about yesterday. And worldwide, all seems to be quite normal activity. Worldwide volcano news update. Normal stats in the volcanoes worldwide. We've got Fuego puffing to 15,000. Popo, Krakatau, Reventador, and Kilauea. Mayon also puffing today, probably to around 9,000. Sangay to 19,000. Sabancaya to 22. Nevado de Ruiz to 21,000 feet. And Mayon has a volcanic cloud unknown reported. Popo also on the list with a puff to 21,000. Fuego to 16. Nevado de Ruiz, another one to 21,000. Here's Liwotolo, ongoing Strombolian activity from a very crappy camera. A better camera being used at Mayon is showing eruption is continuing with 2 main lava flow arms. One over here and another one right there. Space weather update for June 20th. All is quiet on the sun. This flare here created a coronal mass ejection at M2.5, shooting away from Earth. And everything has been quiet since then. Solar indices at 169. KP index at 3 or lower for the last 24 hours. Aurora forecast is dim. And the sun is peppered with spots, but they're doing nothing at solar max as we are in grand solar minimum, which doesn't mean there aren't sunspots. It means solar activity is very low. Ho, ho, ho. Epic fail in America's heartland. Thank you, Dr. Roy Spencer. This June 17th, 2023 blog update from his website at drroyspencer.com shows that climate models greatly overestimate corn belt warnings. And unfortunately, this is Dr. Roy's specialty. In fact, for the last decade, he has been providing long-range U.S. Corn Belt forecasts to a company that monitors and forecasts global grain production and market forces. His continuing theme has been, don't believe gloom and doom forecasts for the future of the U.S. Corn Belt, especially when it's catastrophic anthropogenic global warming. Roy claims that the climate models rely upon the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel, or the IPCC, which is completely full of donkey poop. Here is the actual observed 12-state U.S. Corn Belt summer temperature trends, and it's considerably less than produced by all 36 climate models used to promote changes in U.S. energy policy. So over the last decade, 36 climate models came out. Here, all these red lines. And blue is the actual observed change in temperature. That is 1/10 of 1 degree. The best model showed almost double that, and the next best model showed more than double of the warming. The rest of them are completely insane, with some models showing 9 times the warning, a bunch at 8 times the predicted warming, 7 times the predicted warning. The majority were 4 to 6 times more than the observed warming. It says head scratcher. Alarmist much? This is how off every single climate model was. Not a single one was close to the observed or even below it, which says a lot about the state of climate science. It's an alarmist world. Predict high and get funded. Now, climate predictions are also very likely underestimating future volcanic forcing. As we enter the grand solar minimum, we're going to have VEI 6 and 7 eruptions. We haven't had those for hundreds of years, but they're coming. And all the warming predicted models, if these VEI 6s and 7s occur, with as well as an uptick in VEI 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, well, the Earth is going to cool. And can you imagine this, an actual paper coming out on the empirical assessment of the role of the sun in climate change? Wow, some people are actually considering the sun can affect the climate. That's how stupid climate science is. In their highlights, they say the role of the sun in climate change is hotly debated. Well, by who? It's what gives us all the warmth, light, and temperature on Earth. What else could control the climate? Oh, it's my fault. I forgot. Here's some more science for y'all. This is coming from the most science, live science, which should actually be called dead science. Because this is the headline. Could Earth be inside a black hole? Now, if you read the first few sentences, which will make you dumber, they claim that the edge of our universe may be the edge of the black hole. It's just that big. Some big idiots writing these articles. Here's Science Alert. Earth could feasibly descend into chaos, according to physicists. They say that as the temperature spikes due to anthropogenic global warming, 1, 2, if it hits 3 degrees, it could potentially destroy the Earth balance and send us into a catastrophic spiraling downward sequence of events that will be unimaginable. Apparently, none of them looked at the last 800,000 years of temperature data, which shows temperature going up and down 16 to 20 degrees C quite regularly. They're all frauds. Now, a point of clarification, if you were wondering. Were the Vikings Neanderthals? Someone was arguing with me on the tweet box today that Vikings are Neanderthals. They have the most genetic information left over from Neanderthals. So therefore, Vikings are the descendants of Neanderthals. The only problem is that's not a very smart supposition. Vikings occurred very recently in Earth's history, nowhere near the time of Neanderthals, whose existence ended 41,500 years ago during the Le Champ magnetic excursion. Now, they existed for tens of thousands of years prior to that, but they did become extinct 41,500 years ago, which puts them about 12,000 generations away from the Vikings, who, by the way, were not a race. The Vikings were not a race. That was an occupation. An occupation of seafarers that pillaged and plummeted other groups, as well as had their own culture up in Greenland. And, well, the Vikings consisted of a multicultural group of people from all over the world. Vikings was a job, not a race. So, sorry about that. Now, if you want to hang out with Diamond and Leah, we're going to be at the 4th of July celebration coming up in just a week and a half. It's going to be awesome. Come out to Crestone at the city park. It starts at 11 a.m. and it ends at 6 p.m. There's going to be a dance party. There is going to be a parade. There is going to be a soapbox derby. It's going to be awesome. Did you know the annual Crestone 4th of July celebration soapbox derby race is going to return for the 3rd year, featuring a $500 first place and a $100 second place. All you need is a gravity-driven vehicle that has the ability to stop on a dime and steer. So, you've got time. You've got a weekend and a half. Get it together and win the prize. The big prize will be hanging out with Diamond and Leah and the people in Crestone. Trust me. And that's a boom to knowledge. Please share this video. We love each and every one of you. The most important thing you can do is share this video. We are shadow banned. The powers that be at YouTube do not want us to grow because we are against their paradigm. Become a Patreon, support the work we do. We love you. And that's a boom.